significant Peruvian or Andean community. And so, really stretching yourself in terms of language and culture is going to happen much more immediately.
Great. Okay. And I think I have two more questions for you, and then I'll let you go. Many students are interested, and Phil, about the non-academic aspects of studying in the U.S. So we always as advisors talk to students about there's so much learning that happens outside of the classroom. And you mentioned in this presentation the hundreds of activities, clubs, organizations. Maybe if you could explain where international students tend to find their fit, if students are able to develop their own clubs, to share their own culture from your experience.
Yep. Okay. Well, I'm going to start with my office and then kind of work outward. But my office, we've helped students sponsor several student organizations. We have an International Student Association. We also have an Indian Student Association, a Korean Student Association, and I remember we have a Chinese Student Association. But the International Student Association is a student organization that really was begun by our office to serve international students. But the Indian Student Association, the Korean Student Association, and many of the organizations on campus, they really are grassroots organizations. They were started by students, and they are maintained by students. And so that becomes a very good place to not only be a member, but to gain leadership experience, because each of those clubs, they have to have a president, they have to have a vice president, they have to have a treasurer, a secretary, and they might also have some other leadership roles. And they have a faculty advisor, but in most cases the faculty advisor is simply there to answer student questions. They really are governed by the students. Their membership is student driven. They host activities, they host fundraisers, sometimes they go on trips, and so they are responsible for collecting dues or doing fundraisers for raising the money to do community-based projects, and they really run the gamut. So, like I said, we've got some that are designed specifically for students from or interested in other countries. But we have an accounting club, we have a wildlife and ecology club, and so again, some of those are very discipline-based. I know some of the business clubs, they are involved in competitions, and so not only is there kind of that interest, but they kind of take what they've learned in the classroom, and you see them applying them either through SIFE competitions, and I can't remember what SIFE stands for, but students in, it's kind of an entrepreneurial incubator kind of competition, and so if a student is interested in creating a club, they are certainly welcome to do that. So if we, for example, got a significant number of students from Peru, and they wanted to begin a Peruvian student association, then they would form that club, and like any club on campus, any organization on campus, it's not exclusive. You cannot restrict your membership to a certain segment of the student body. It has to be open to everybody. And Shireen, if you want to travel to the U.S., it is not necessary to speak English perfectly. Just like I traveled to Peru and hablo un poquito español. So, I think one of the things I discovered traveling in Peru is that, and I also discovered this in Chile and in Colombia, is that when I tried using Spanish, people were very patient, and it often led to some laughter, but it was a wonderful learning experience. And I think you will find the same here. I think you will find people very welcoming and very open, and I would even say, very forgiving if you don't quite get the words in the right order. They're not going to scold you.
Right, which is incredibly important.
It is very important because that's how you learn.
And the final question is going to be from Corey. Corey, I don't know if you could type it in again. I know I had a question about if you could do online education and if that was recommended. But Corey, if you could type your question in again, maybe that might be a little bit faster. Let's see. And I do think that Corey gets the last question. Yes, and it was. Corey asked if students who study online, if they can apply to some of these universities. Maybe discuss a little bit about that, please.
Several of our programs are online. They are, I guess, what you would maybe call a hybrid. You could do a fully online program, or you could do what we call kind of a brick and mortar program where you would actually have to be on campus. Of course, if you do an online program, then you would stay in Peru to study. You would not, of course, have the advantage of being on campus. And so that the only disadvantage I would see to that in terms of interacting with the students is that you wouldn't have that opportunity on a daily basis to continue to improve your English language skills. You're doing it in what I would call maybe a much more two-dimensional kind of platform where you're by and large communicating in English by typing things out or by writing things down, as opposed to maybe interacting with people face to face. But a number of colleges and universities do have online degree programs. I think what you will find is that they will not have 100% of their programs online. And sometimes the other thing to look at too is sometimes the online tuition, the tuition for tuition for an online program is going to be different than tuition for being on campus.
Right. Well, with that, Phil, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up our presentation. I want to thank you so much for volunteering to take on a webinar for the first time with Peru. I hope this is the first of many. And I just wanted to give some closing remarks to the students. What you witnessed today, the conversation that we had with Phil, is all-encompassing. It's a conversation about why you should consider Missouri, and I think the underlying questions you're asking yourselves are, how can I apply if I want to study in Missouri or in another state in the U.S.? Education USA, we're a network of international advisors that work with the U.S. government, and you have the benefit of having in Peru over 10 centers, and in all countries around the world, over 170 of them, you have Education USA centers. So what I'm going to provide you with right now is a link to the Education USA centers in Peru. The number one step students should take if they want to apply to a U.S. university, like Northwest Missouri State, is to understand the process of applying. So when you reach out to the centers in your countries, there are centers, as I mentioned, in all countries, you should contact the closest center to you and set up an advising meeting so that you can create a relationship with an Education USA advisor who can help you create an action plan and see you from the beginning, from your search, all the way until you're with Phil on campus in Missouri. So I want to thank you all for joining us today. The presentation that we've seen will be recorded, well, has been recorded, and will be uploaded tonight to our social media. So I guess the next question is, yes, Phil, go ahead.
Can I make just 2 more remarks?
Absolutely.
You've got my contact information up on the slide there, and I know the students are certainly welcome to contact you and your colleagues in the Education USA offices. But they are certainly more than welcome to contact me with any questions that they might have. And as you know, I will be joining part of the Education USA tour in South America.
Yes.
Fall. And so I will be in Lima, whatever those dates are, I think around the 11th or 12th of October.
October 12th.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so if there are any opportunities to meet some of the students who participated today face-to-face, I would welcome that opportunity too.
Of course. So in short, everyone has multiple resources and many, many people, I'd say an army of people, who want to answer your questions and help you in any way that we can, which is always good. And so I want to thank you all, Phil, once again, for joining us, all of the students for joining us. I think we even have Education USA advisors joining us. So thank you so much. Later today, in the links that I provided here in the chat box, I will post the recording. And nothing. I mean, thank you so much, and have a great rest of your week. Goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.